I rode every single ride in Epcot in Walt Disney World Orlando Resort, and I'm going to put it on a tier list from S, A, B, C, D, E, and F. And here we go. We're going to head into Epcot right now. Let's go. Alright guys, before we kick off this video, I got two things to let you guys know. So number one, we're not going to be going over anything to do with theater or fireworks. So we're not going to go over the fireworks show. We're not going to go over like Turtle Talk with Crush. None of those we're going to be using because those are not considered rides. We're strictly going to be going over only the rides, and we're going to put them on an S tier list. We're going to base off the S tier list by going off of whether the ride is fun, if it's thrilling, the theming, and the creepiness, animatronics, anything like that. So that's what we're going to be basing it off of. So I hope you guys enjoy it, and let's go. Alright guys, starting off with number one, we got Spaceship Earth, and let's go ahead and head on that ride and give you guys a tier list rating. Let's go. Alright guys, upon exiting Spaceship Earth, there's one thing that comes to my mind, and that is this ride is just a little bit too creepy for the younger audience. Now if you ask me, I would go on this any day of the week. It is really fun just to go ahead and see how the future comes from all the way back then, all the way to now, and how it loops in a circle, and how we're continuing into the future. It is also built in 1982, so it is one of the most original rides you could ever get in that park. It's super entertaining if you like history and the future. So from my perspective, I think this is definitely a C tier. The reason why I'm giving this a C is only because it is really old and it's really creepy, but it is a must-do ride if you do go to Epcot, since it is the iconic ball. So now, let's head on to the next one. So our next ride we're going to be putting on the tier list is Test Track. So Test Track is also one of the more original rides that have been in this park forever. And this one is super fast and super fun, and I think it's one of the most fastest rides inside of the park. So let's go ahead and hop on Test Track and let's get a rating for that one. Let's go.
You ready to see how I drive? Oh, it's raining.
So what do I think about Test Track? This ride is one of my favorite rides in the park. It is really fun. It goes 64.9 miles per hour. Takes you on little drops, little sharp turns, super fast, and you're only wearing a seatbelt. It makes you feel like you're actually in a real car being tested on the track. I like that you're able to create your own car and be able to drive your own car, and you're going against other people. And then upon exiting the ride, you could also drive your little car that you created inside the exit. There's also a dealership in there that actually sells real Chevrolet cars, which is actually really cool. If you guys didn't know, you can actually purchase a Chevrolet inside there. If you guys never seen this ride or never been on it, you definitely have to go on this ride. Alright everybody, next up is my favorite ride hands down in Epcot. It is a newer ride. You need a virtual queue for it. It is no other than Guardians of the Galaxy, the Cosmic Rewind. Now this ride is super fun. It also goes up to 60 miles an hour. Hands down one of my favorite rides. So I bet you already know what this is going to get on the tier list. So let's go ahead and hop on that ride and go check out the Guardians of the Galaxy.
This plan is never gonna work. Plus, we cannot stop this unusually large man.
Man, this ride, hands down, my favorite ride in the entire park. I bet you if you guys like roller coasters, you will absolutely love this ride too. I guarantee you could already guess what I'm going to say this tier is, and it is no other than the S tier, guys. This ride is super fun. Through the dark, it spins you like 360. It's kind of like a tickler ride mixed in with a high-speed coaster. Launches you backwards. The intro to the ride is even insane, and how everything holds together and meets in the middle when you get on that ride and you spin around Earth, the moon. It's super cool, super fast, super fun. If you guys don't go on this, you're missing out. So next up is another newer ride that's in the park, but you don't need a virtual queue for, but it is always an 80-minute wait or more. And this ride is no other than Remys Ratatouille Adventure. Now this ride is super fun. It is really cool how they made this ride actually come to life and how all the stuff ties in and makes it seem like you're just in the movie. It's a really fun ride to do. 3D glasses ride. There's also a sit down and a trackless ride. So let's hop on there and get a review.
Chef Lenny is waiting for you. This way. Here they are, baby.
I have to say that this ride has one of the most insane detail ever. It is super cool. It's even close to the rank of Star Wars and Hollywood Studios. The detail is just absolutely out of this world. So I have to give this an S tier. The reason why I'm giving this an S tier is because this is super family friendly. Everyone can get on this ride. It's super fun. You don't need a virtual queue. It's really cute how they made everything tie into the movie. It's a 4D ride with glasses, trackless ride. They made this ride super clean and super fun to ride. So if you guys are ever going out to Epcot and you see this ride at less than an 80-minute wait, you should definitely hop on there and get on this ride. Alright guys, so next up on the list we have Frozen Ever After. Now this ride is really adorable. You get to see all the characters from the movie Frozen. It takes you through a boat ride and gives you a couple drops here and there. You get a little bit of wet. Kids are really going to love this ride since a lot of kids like Frozen, and it is always a really long wait time. That's mostly due to the park being very small anyway, so probably want to get a lightning lane for this ride since you will be waiting almost 80 minutes to 90 minutes for this ride depending on the day you go. So let's go ahead and hop on this ride and go check it out. So coming off Frozen Ever After, I have one thing to say. This is hands down a really, really cool ride. But the only thing that I can complain about is that I got absolutely soaked on this ride. That one last drop that you get is super, super weird because you go down and the front of the boat just dips in the water and you get drenched. Now, if you're in the back of the boat, you might actually get lucky, but usually the front of the boat always winds up getting soaked. So for me, this is a B tier. And the reason why I'm giving it a B tier is because kids will love this. You do get wet. Is a little bit scary for younger kids since you're going down giant drops. They blow fog in your face and you go down this big drop, so you might get a little bit of a reaction out of your kids, but it's super fun anyway. A B tier all the way. So let's go ahead and hop in to the next ride. So our next ride we're going to be throwing on is Mission Space. Now this ride is really popular amongst people that love space. If you don't like space, you're probably not going to like this ride. It is very intense and also very not intense depending on which side you go on. You have the orange one, which is very intense, and the green, which is not intense at all. And Disney tries to keep the green side always on a lower wait time than the orange wait time, only because they want you to go on the less intense side and not on the more intense side. Now for this ride, for me, I went on this ride once and I never went on it again. And there's many reasons for that, and we'll get into that after. So let's hop on the ride and show you what it's all about.
All you have to do is fire the second stage and deploy the shields.
Mission control, the tower is clear.
Alright guys, so after Mission Space, I would definitely not recommend this ride. I'm giving this a F. Now listen, I'm only giving this an F because of the intensity of the ride, and when you get on the orange side, it really, really simulates like you're going to space. It's very, very powerful. The green side is just you're traveling around the earth. You see a little bit. It kind of rocks back and forth, not too much craziness going on. But the orange side, F tier. It is so shaky. It makes you feel really weird. Now, if you're a space lover, you might actually like this ride. For me, it's an F tier. I feel like there's way better rides in the park, and the simulation is way too extraordinary for a kid or a younger audience. Maybe as an adult, you might like it, but you get very claustrophobic in there, and they even give you barf bags in there. That's how intense the ride is. So in my opinion, this is a total F tier. So my next ride in Epcot is going to be Journey into Imagination with Figment. Now this ride is more or less a kid's ride. It's more made for the younger audience, and it's more enjoyable for the younger audience. For the adults, it's not going to be a ride that you're going to go on by yourself. I mean, you might want to because you love Figment or you like the ride itself. But on the other hand, for me, I personally think this is more of a kid's ride. So let's hop on there, go explore the ride, and then come back for some tier listing. After getting off Journey into Imagination with Figment, it is, like I said, a kid's ride. Now, giving this an E tier only because at the end, I'm not going to spoil it, it does something that scares you so bad that everyone on the ride jumps and also screams at the same time. It is so scary. So for me, this is more of a kid's ride. It teaches you about sight, sound, touch, taste, and all that. It's all the five senses. So it's really meant for kids to learn about the five senses. So for me, I'm going to say this is an E tier as an adult. And that gives me, for the next ride, we have Living with the Land. Living with the Land is a cool ride if you're into plants and the earth and all that. So they kind of go through a little slow boat ride, and they teach you about all the plants they grow at Epcot and how they use that stuff for the restaurants specifically in Epcot, and how everything is grown and how the earth should be more greener, and takes you on a little boat tour. So let's go hop on that ride and I'll give you a review after. Alright guys, so we're getting off Living with the Land. Then what am I going to rate it? I'm going to give this a D tier. Now I'm going to give it a little bit higher than Figment because this is kind of still a kid's ride, but adults can ride, and it's a lot more based off of plants and literally, as the title says, living with the land. So it teaches you how they grow stuff and all the plants and how they use them and how they farm and how the scientists are making better ways to grow plants and all this other stuff. So it's a really cool ride, but it's just very slow and very short, and it does take you maybe 5 to 10 minutes to get on the ride because it's only a very short ride, plus there's never a line for it, so it's pretty much always a walk-on. So that's why I give it a D tier. It's pretty interesting, but I feel like if you're more into plants, you would like it better than just somebody that's going on a ride. It doesn't feel as Disney as like the other rides. Alright guys, next up we got The Seas with Nemo and Friends. Now this ride usually has no wait either, just like Living in the Land doesn't have. But the only thing with Finding Nemo that I always tend to say is that it's very short and very old compared to like most of the newer rides in the park. So we're going to go ahead and hop on this and let's go ride it and then come back with the review.
More salt, mates. Fish are friends for food. Delicious.
Alright guys, The Seas with Nemo and Friends, we're going to go ahead and give this also a D tier. Now I'm going to give this a D tier only because the ride is very slow. You do get on fast. They have a cool after ride where you walk around and see the aquarium. You could swim in the tank if you pay for it. They got the restaurant right next door, but it's a D tier because the storyline of the ride doesn't even match what the actual thing is. Basically, like, Nemo's lost again. It's not really based off the movie. There's also parts where you get very bad motion sickness, like when Crush is swimming with them and they're going through that little part of the ride. It does give people motion sickness. It's really good for kids. Kids will love this ride, but for me, I'm saying this is D tier because they can make this ride so much better and more entertaining, but they just keep it the way it is, and I feel that they could do a lot more with this ride, even though it is based off an entire aquarium. It's literally surrounding an aquarium. But for me, it's a D tier, so we're going to go ahead and hop on the next ride, and let's go see what that one is. Alright guys, we're coming close to the finish line here, so our next ride is going to be the Grand Fiesta Tour. Now, this ride is really cute. It's one of the older rides here. It's all the way up in Mexico and Epcot, so it is a hike to get to, but hands down, you'll never wait for it. It's always an open ride, very quick to get on. You just literally walk inside the pyramid, get right on the ride. It's pretty much always a walk on. Even if there is a line, it's very quick. It takes about 5-10 minutes maximum to get on that ride. So usually when it rains, people go on that. That's what I normally do. So let's go ahead and hop on that ride and go explore. Alright, so we're hopping off the Grand Fiesta Tour here, and this ride is very, very short. I'm going to go ahead and give this a D tier as well. I know there's a lot of D tiers here, and the reason why I'm doing that only is because they all kind of match the level of Living on the Land and Figment in that kind of area, because it's a very slow ride. It's also inside of a restaurant, and it is very, very slow. And even though the ride is slow, it's also a really fast ride. It's only like a minute and a half. It goes around so quick, and it always breaks down, and there's always better rides you can go on instead of going on the Grand Fiesta Tour. But it is a good ride when it rains, so that brings me on to my last ride. Alright everyone, last but not least, we got Soaring Around the World. Now this ride is super fun. It is also one of the older rides here as well. It's pretty much in the same area as Living with the Land and Figment. It is really, really fun. They have adjustable seat sizes for all ages, so anyone can go on this ride pretty much, as long as you meet the minimum height requirements. Now this ride takes you all around the world through a little flight simulator that you smell things and see things. It's really, really fun. So let's go ahead and hop on and let's get a review. Alright guys, so how about that, Soaring Around the World? Now this ride is really cool. There's only one video that's been around for a while. They used to change it, but now they haven't changed it in a long time. It is a really, really cool ride. You go flying. It feels like you're actually there. You smell things, see things. It's really fun. I personally like being on the top, not the bottom, because when you're at the bottom, you kind of just see everybody's feet, and you kind of see the bottom of the screen. So it is a really, really cool ride. The simulation is really fun. So that being said, this ride is no other than a A tier. The reason why I give it A tier is because you see things, you smell things, and you're flying. It makes you feel like you're there. It is really, really fun, really, really cool ride. So that concludes my tier list. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and hope you guys learned some stuff and figure out what rides you want to go on, what rides not to go on inside of Epcot and Walt Disney World. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button, because we're gonna have many more videos come out and more travel stuff. So if you're into travel and you're into puppies, I have a puppy that we're doing Woody's Life Mondays with. So if you guys are interested, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, go check out my last video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.